So I was born and raised in New York City, and growing up, I was always that shy, reserved, typical shy Asian kid. So going to school in New York City, I'll be honest, I was a little intimidated, especially as a shy, typical Asian kid. And especially coming from someone who was born with an eye disability. I was worried what my peers were gonna think of me. I was worried if others were gonna accept me. I was worried if I was gonna fit in. And being that I was born with an eye disability, I had to get all my exams and all of my schoolwork all enlarged. With exams, I had to be pulled out of class for extra time and have like enlarged text, and it made me feel different. Being pulled out of class and being the odd one out, I felt like I was different from everyone else and I couldn't really connect with others. Yeah, so I was born with something called Peters anomaly, and essentially what it is with the front of your eye, it's called the cornea, and I have this like white cloudy sheet covering the front of my eye, which basically makes everything a little bit blurry. So with the eye disability, yeah, so I didn't play sports, I didn't play video games, I didn't really go out and hang out too much because I didn't really want others to know about that disability, and I always tried to hide myself from the crowd. So I grew up with my mom, my dad, and an older sister. And yeah, growing up with immigrant parents, like I saw them go through it. My parents worked 7 days a week, multiple jobs. There was no such thing as a sick day. There was no such thing as, oh, like I don't really feel good, or I never heard my parents ever say I can't. With them working a ton, I didn't really spend too much time with them. Every time I saw them, it was either them yelling at me or telling me I should be doing better in terms of school and creating that better future for myself. So I wasn't really too close to my parents because I felt like they had so many expectations on me, and I didn't want to put a burden on them, especially as immigrant parents that had to find a way to hustle, make it work, and start a family out here in a different country. I didn't want to put a burden on them. I didn't want to make them feel bad that their son wasn't doing the best in school. And with my family dynamic, I felt like there was a lot of expectations. My parents had these expectations for me and my sister, where we had to do well in school, where we had to get A++. Basically, 100 wasn't good enough. Being someone who didn't really like school like that, I felt like I let my parents down, because not only was I not good in school, I didn't really get good grades, but I felt like I didn't meet the expectation of my parents. And coming from an Asian household where they constantly compare you and other family members, it definitely put a lot of pressure on me, and I didn't really like talk too much with my parents. I didn't really want to talk too much with even my sister. So going into middle school and high school, same thing. I felt a little reserved because I was worried what my peers were going to think of me, and especially as we got older, and especially getting into the teen years, I felt like that was when a lot of people started judging others. And coming from someone that didn't really have too high of self-esteem of himself, I would be that kid who would hide from everyone during recess. I would be that kid in the corner who didn't necessarily play sports, didn't necessarily hang out with anyone, and I was just that kid in the corner of the yard, just wandering around and doing his own thing. High school was a nightmare for me. I didn't get into the specialized high schools that we have here in New York City, and not necessarily meeting the expectations of my parents. I felt like I let them down, and during high school, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't want anyone to know about me, and not feeling proud of the school I went to, and being surrounded by the ghetto kids, I felt way more reserved, and I kept a lot to myself back in high school. What got me into fitness was back in 5th grade, when Hollister used to be the shit, when they had models stand outside their stores. The guys would have 6-pack abs, standing next to chicks wearing hot bikinis, and I was like, I need to look like that guy with the six-pack abs to get the hot girls in the bikinis. And ever since that day, I went home, went on YouTube, searched up how to get six-pack abs, 10-minute at-home ab workouts, and it almost became an addiction. 100 sit-ups every single day. Would immediately go to the mirror, see if I saw any changes. I didn't see anything, but I'll kind of trick myself and tell myself that the abs are building. And it almost became an addiction. But especially me being a 10-year-old in 5th grade, I wasn't able to join a gym yet. I wasn't able to get a gym membership. And I remember like consistently doing those sit-ups every single day, even though I wasn't seeing the results in the mirror immediately. It almost gave me a drive and a purpose and a goal to go after. And it didn't feel like it in the moment, but within weeks, within months, within years, I started feeling way more confident in myself. And then when 8th grade came, when I finally turned 13, when I was finally able to get a gym membership, got in the gym, and it took off from there. Knowing that I wasn't really good with school, I didn't have good grades, I didn't play sports, I didn't play video games, I didn't really hang out with too many people. The gym was my second home. I would go to the weight room after school every single day and put some good music on, put my head down and just work. And I felt like it was the only thing that made me feel good. It was the only thing that I was good at, and it almost became a part of my life ever since. What got me hooked on was powerlifting. Just being able to slap on weight 5 pounds every single week. I started showing myself what I was capable of. Benching my first ever plate on each side, squatting my first ever plate on each side, deadlifting my first ever plate on each side. It almost became an addiction. One plate turned into 2, and then into 3, and into 4, into 5. Next thing you know, we're deadlifting 6 plates at 17 years old. And with knowing that that was the only thing that made me feel good, it was the only thing that I felt like I was good at, it was something that stuck on with me for a long time. And going into college, my parents definitely had an expectation of their son getting a good degree. They didn't tell me I had to be a doctor, they didn't tell me I had to be a lawyer or a pharmacist or anything, but my mom always told me at least get a bachelor's or a master's degree and at least come out with a good career, a good future, and be able to set that foundation for your future. I didn't know what I wanted to do back in high school, so I went to school going for a business major. I was still lifting at the time, and honestly, going into college, school kind of got mixed in the picture. Not only was I 8 hours away from home, but I had the freedom. I had the freedom to do what I wanted. I had the freedom to make my own schedule, do what I wanted, and felt like I had the time of my life. At the time, going into college, I was preparing for my first ever national powerlifting meet. And that was the only thing that I cared about. It was the only thing I cared about. It was the only thing I worried about. And that was like my only focus in school that first semester. Competed, and yeah, I almost kind of lost track of school. I didn't really have the grades, and being on probation, with powerlifting taking over a lot of my time and energy that first year of school, I didn't really care too much about it. So I decided to switch majors to occupational therapy, because I wanted to help people. I always knew I wanted to help people rather than doing transactional things with business. But that semester, I kind of got lost in the sauce. That semester, I was pledging for a fraternity. I started partying. I started getting curious, not only because I wasn't sure where I wanted to head towards with school, but I didn't really know who I was. With the freedom that I had, I thought I had the mindset of, I only live once. Might as well try things, might as well get curious, might as well make the most of the time. That semester, pledged for a fraternity, started partying, started doing drugs, and it got to the point where one day turned into an entire weekend, and then to an entire week. Next thing you know, literally 2 years goes by where I wasn't sober for a single second of the day. And so I remember vividly, it was March of 2020, right when the pandemic hit. I don't even recall what happened, but all I knew, I woke up, my brain was foggy after a night of just going complete balls to the wall. I woke up, got up, went to the bathroom, looked at myself in the mirror, and I was faced with my reality. I was 30 pounds overweight. I couldn't recognize who I saw in the mirror, and I thought to myself, yo, if I don't do something about this, like, I really don't know how or if I would even be able to get out of this situation. I was 30 pounds overweight. I was thousands in debt because I spent all the money that my immigrant parents sent to me on drugs, on alcohol, getting that next high, and didn't pay rent or electricity for an entire year. And I knew from that moment on, I needed to do something about it. So ever since that day, I made the commitment to myself that I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna start making progress in my life, and let's get out of this situation before it gets too late. So ever since that day, I literally started from ground zero. Ground zero. Started reading, started running, I started eating healthier, started taking my fitness journey more seriously. And as little as those things sound, it was what gave me a taste of what success looked like. It gave me a taste of what progress felt like. It gave me a taste of what transformation felt like. And that was what really got me to start taking all the results in my life much seriously. That summer, I lost 30 pounds, got in the best shape of my life. I ran my first ever mile, read my first ever book as a 20-year-old, and I started going all in with my online coaching business. I was doing it on the side, helping a couple buddies out, and knowing that I was able to help others, knowing that I was able to make a difference in others' lives. It gave me purpose, it gave me drive, and it gave me something that I actually looked forward to each and every single day. And with getting the best shape of my life that summer, with changing my life around, it showed me that no matter how bad I thought my life was, no matter how bad the cards I was dealt with, I can make change. I can transform. I can be better. I can make progress. And I can become a better version of myself. And ever since that summer of 2020, I've been on that drive of wanting to become a better version of myself. It started off with hating who I was, looking at myself in the mirror. And now I show up each and every single day to show 5-year-old Daniel who didn't believe in himself. I show up each and every single day to lead 5-year-old Daniel and show him what he's truly made of, what he's truly capable of. And he can literally do anything that he wants to do, no matter his limitations, no matter the cards that he's dealt, no matter how much of a failure he felt like when he didn't meet the expectations of his friends, his families, of himself. And by transforming his entire life around that, by showing him that he can literally do anything that he possibly can, we're only getting started, and I'm excited for what's about to come. In the midst of that summer of 2020, bettering myself, getting in better shape, leveling up all years of my life, it felt really lonely. I felt like I didn't really have too many people that had a similar mindset of wanting to do better. My friends, nothing against them, but it felt like a lot of them were still stuck in the partying life, still stuck in wanting to get curious, wanting to have all the fun. And there was one day I was scrolling through YouTube, a Max Shooting video where he did a collab with Chad Morgan. Seeing another 20-year-old kid who was literally living the life that I wanted to live, doing online coaching, helping other people, making content to inspire, to help, and to serve others. I was like, yo, that's what I want. And finding Beyond Built and seeing what they do with how they have a community of like-minded individuals who are on top of their fitness journey, who wants to continue becoming a better version of themselves. I knew I had to be a part of it. I always wanted to have like-minded people around me who knew that it wasn't just a fitness journey, but it was more of wanting to become a better version of themselves, wanting to continue putting in the work on themselves and just living life to the fullest. Yeah, so I joined Beyond Built back in the end of 2021, did the Transformation Challenge in 2022, which I was honestly hesitant about doing because I never thought that I would ever be someone that's that disciplined to go through a diet, to go through a strict diet protocol, a strict training protocol. But seeing other people doing it, I said, fuck it, why not me? If others can do it, why not me? So I decided to go all in, did the Transformation Challenge, ended up winning it, and that showed me that, I can do this. This showed me what Dan was actually capable of. And fast forward a year now, we're doing our first ever bodybuilding show, which if you were to tell me 5 years ago, I would have literally laughed at you and tried to change the conversation right away. But here we are, 4.5 weeks out, and that's what this is about. Stepping out of our comfort zones and showing ourselves what we can do. For anyone that is watching this, let this be living proof that you can do anything that you want. As cliche as it sounds, no matter how bad your cards were dealt, no matter how bad or how down bad you think you are, transformation is for everyone. Change is for everyone. And if I was able to change my life around, if I was able to go from the shy, innocent Asian kid who had zero self-confidence, who didn't believe in himself, who didn't really think too much of him, to being able to literally live the life that I want, being able to show up as the best version of myself, lead other individuals, serve other individuals, and continue this ride of becoming a better version of myself. Each and every single one of us are capable of doing anything that we want. Take that leap of faith in you. Do it for you, and 30, 60, 90 days, a year later, you're gonna look back and you're gonna realize how far you've come. Take that leap of faith in you, do it for you, and you're gonna look back and you'll be shocked at how far you've come.